7:03 p.m. by Chairman Lynch. Pledge to the flag. Roll call. Abraham, Lynch, Urick, and Kish were present. Also in attendance, L. Ashley, R. Cerrone, K. Smarsh, G. Lynch, E. Gonzalez, C. Cerny, R. Bechter, D. Petticord, T. Mangan, J. Innes, John Penton, Jack Penton, C. Howard, J. Pilarch, A. Abraham, R. Ellis, D. Horn, T. Oster, P. Bossman, J. Conrady, T. Hendrickson, C. Evanson, H. Harsar, J. Evanson, D. L. Dillon, V. Edwards, C. Urick, J. Barter, B. Stacknick, E. Cerny, H. Harsar, E. Hembry, J. Luca, M. Stewart, A. Pinkerton, J. Fortino, B. Ciccio, L. Abfall, C. Mattis, Ellen P. Magger, J. Figueroa, and T. Wood. I've also attached the list of attendees to the back of the meeting minutes for both the public and the township, or the regular meeting. Recess to trustee public hearing. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.07, the Board of Trustees of Amherst Township are holding this public meeting to consider taking action on the proposed settlement agreement between the Board of Trustees of Amherst Township and American Consolidated Properties, LLC, and Lorraine County Common Pleas Court, case number 20CV200199. 2521, motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Return to the regular trustee meeting at 9:53 p.m. to consider and take action on the proposed settlement agreement. All ayes. Trustee Urick objected to the settlement agreement because there was no imminent annexation threat. The agreement would allow approximately 3 to 6 times the density currently allowed under existing zoning and increase traffic on Oberlin Road. 2621, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Authorization to enter into attached settlement agreement with Amherst Consolidated Properties, LLC, Consolidated Investors Group, LLC, and Consolidated Investors Group 2, LLC, in Lorraine County Common Pleas Court, case number 20CV200199, pursuant to RC 505.07. Roll call. Lynch. Abraham, ayes. Urick, nay. 2721, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham, to approve the minutes of the February 9th, 2021 regular meeting as read. All ayes. 2821, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve that January 2021 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation. All ayes. 2921, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick. Move to approve the bills and financial reports with reservations. All ayes. Under zoning, 4 permits and 1 new home. Complaints are being handled by the designated individual. Under new business, 21021, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to reconsider resolution 11721 to adjust the reference agreement to change from 2018 date to 2020 within the NOPEC agreement. All ayes. Next stormwater grant is due March 31st, 2021. We will need to meet with Pete Zwick from the engineer's office. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be held Tuesday, March 9th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. A work session could be called based on conversation with Pete Zwick. 21121, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Urick, to adjourn at 10:22 p.m. All ayes.
Okay, are there any changes or corrections to the February 23rd meeting minutes?
I have none.
Okay, then can I have a motion to approve as presented?
I make that motion. Second.
Abraham,
Yes.
Urick,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Then I have the February 23rd public hearing. The elected officials present were trustees Abraham, Lynch, and Urick, and fiscal officer Kish. Also in attendance was everyone that I read at the first meeting, and it is also attached on the back. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.07, the Board of Trustees of Amherst Township are holding this public meeting to consider taking action on the proposed settlement agreement between the Board of Trustees of Amherst Township and American Consolidated Properties, LLC, in Lorraine County Common Pleas Court, case number 20CV200199. The public hearing began at 7:03 p.m. Consolidated Properties, LLC, presented an overview of the sandstone development. The following individuals made comments in person: J. Pilarch, C. Cerny, J. Conrady, T. Hendrickson, and R. Ellis, J. Bardar, and P. Major via Zoom. The trustees then gave their comments and/or questions and closed the public hearing and returned to the regular meeting at 9:53 p.m.
Okay, are there any changes or corrections to the public hearing meeting minutes?
No, I have none.
Okay, then can I have a motion to approve as presented?
I make that motion. Second.
Abraham,
Yes.
Euring,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Great. Okay, you have your payment listing in front of you. And really nothing out of the ordinary. Questions? Our revenue to date is $189,869.31. And our expenditures are $194,847.24. And as I mentioned before the meeting started, that settlements went out today. So we should be getting that this week. And I will be working on that this week.
Okay, are there any changes or questions on the payments or the financial reports?
No, I have none.
Okay, then can I have a motion to pay the bills and approve the financial reports with reservation?
So move. I'll second it.
Euring,
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wrong one.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Okay, at this time, I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance. Is there anything anyone has to bring before the trustees? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. Chris?
I do have a few things in your packets. There is notification from Tom Kelly from the Lorraine County Emergency Management and Homestead Security regarding Ohio Severe Weather Awareness Week. That's being held March 21st through the 27th. And the statewide siren siren warning and weather radio test will be held on Wednesday, March 24th at 9:50 a.m. and the county WENS system will also be tested during this week. And also, we received ballot language that needs to be approved. That's also in your packets, and I need to fax that back over this evening if everyone is all right with the verbiage. And then we'll get the final ballot language after it's been approved.
You want a motion on this, Chris, because I know as Georgianne's putting together the next newsletter, she had called over the Board of Elections, and as they told her, it wasn't approved, but they had it, and they did email this over to her too. So, and I know we went through this, and we didn't see any problems with it. So if you need a motion,
I didn't know I needed a motion, I just
okay.
wanted you to say, yeah, go ahead.
I would say go ahead, David, Denny, have you guys had a chance to look this over?
Yeah.
I mean, I happened to get to see it earlier, because we were trying to get the same exact language that the Board of Elections was going to use is what we wanted to put in the newsletter.
Right, and I was waiting for the final one from the Board of Elections before forwarding it to George.
So it's okay for Chris to sign this and send it
Yes.
in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Put that
All
on.
right, Chris.
Thank you. Lastly, well, not lastly, almost lastly, correspondence from the Lorraine County Community Development Department regarding their CBDG Community Block Grant for 2021. information on that is in your mailboxes. I don't really think that was anything we
Okay.
had done in the past, but it's for
Take
your
a look.
information.
We've applied in the past, but we've regularly been turned down. The only time, and the time I've been here, we got approved, which we pretty much knew they were eventually doing with all the public buildings, was to meet the ADA compliance. But other than that, it's a frustrating thing because you spend a lot of time in the application, and it finally gets to the point, why bother?
Like, it's all, you have the complete
I'll
package
take a
in your
look at it,
mailboxes.
thank you.
And then, Kristen Brandon from Community Development, this is really nothing on the record, it was just something kind of funny because everybody's been complaining about the mail lately and how long it takes. Kristen brought this to me, to the Lorraine County Planning Commission, on 219 Court Street, and it was from Mary Torma from the Amherst Township Zoning Commission from December 11th, 1995.
And she just received?
She just received this.
Wow, I wonder where that thing's been.
So I had to bring it to the meeting, and especially Tom Ferrenson signed off on it, and I didn't really see what it was about, but
Have to let Jerry Torma know that Mary's still out there somewhere. She sent us mail.
Kristen brought it up and said, you have to see this, and I'm like, oh, you have to share that.
My goodness.
Wow.
So it mail is a little bit slow.
What was that on a proposed zoning change?
Pardon?
Was that on a proposed zoning change?
Overlay zoning?
It had to be when Mary was on the zoning commission. You said that was from 2019?
1995.
95, okay. Boy, that's even before my time.
Looks like it's overlay zoning, and she's providing, or Tom Ferrenson provided her some information.
Wow, I wonder where that was.
There might be more information in here, but I just,
Yeah, but it had to be at the U.S. Post Office somewhere in their system.
oh, yeah, and I think maybe because they're like digging.
Where, yeah, well, we're
That's
not going to
crazy.
solve it here, but that is odd, 1995.
But probably.
Right, and she was surprised that she still even got it because that building hasn't, that's the Justice Center now where that building used to be,
Wow.
one on Court Street.
What may have happened, it may have got behind a machine or something, and they moved something, and there it was.
Yeah.
So, just, I thought it was.
Might have dug up Jimmy Hoffa. Okay, anything else, Chris?
That's it.
All right, David?
No.
Okay, Denny?
I have nothing.
All right, there is, we did receive from Lorraine County Public Health a notification of their board meeting. Denny, that will be on the last day of March, so March 31st, Wednesday at 5:30. They did put a special note here that the location has changed due to the COVID. So it will be held in the Reeser Grand Ballroom at the Spitzer Conference Center. Yeah, they must have told you a different place at the last year's meeting. I mean, you've got the notice and
Yeah.
aware of it. There's one in your packet if you want it. That's the original.
Did you say that was the 30th? I'm sorry.
No, March 31st
March 31st, thank you.
at 5:30, Lorraine County Community College Spitzer Conference Center. I mean, when you're ready, Chris.
I'm good.
Okay. And Chris, I know I sent that email earlier that we'll do at the next meeting to set the permanent budget.
Yes.
You know, and
I'll have that to you.
so I've got it on the agenda, but I only put it there so I don't forget it, so that we handle it at the next meeting. But there was no intent of doing it at this meeting. Okay, we'll move on to reports. Ambulance, Denny?
Nothing under ambulance.
Okay, zoning, Remy?
Just one permit for this month, but I have 3 pending. The health board papers have to be sent out to the health board and sent back because the gentleman has a septic system on the property. So when
Okay.
that comes back, then I'll initiate the next 3, because there's 3 more permits that he's drawing all on one house.
Okay.
3 houses or 1 house or?
No, no house, it's just the permits are for a pool, a patio, and a fence. But he can't draw the permits until he sends that health board paper in and I get a response from them before I can issue the permit.
Okay.
So they're pending.
And did you want to mention the BZA hearing that's coming up?
Yes, the BZA hearing, I think it's the I can't remember the date, 25th or 26th?
25th.
25th. Yes, 7 o'clock on the 25th, and that's a variance for area variance for the front yard. It's, instead of 125, it's 75, so he's asking for a 50-foot variance for a driveway.
Okay. Okay, anything else, Remy?
That should do it.
Anyone have any questions for Remy? All right, and Remy, I mentioned to you earlier, we'll need you to stick around for executive session on the legal situation for that property maintenance issue.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to roads, parks, and cemetery. Superintendent Smarsh.
Everything's been running along pretty smoothly. We've been on potholes, trash pickup, typical maintenance. I had scheduled for the street sweeper to come into Hidden Valley last week, and I specifically asked to be called when they were going to come in because he did not have the time. And I just heard that the sweeper was in Hidden Valley today, and I guess it was making a dusty mess. So tomorrow morning I'll get to the bottom of it, if they finished or not. But they usually come here to the shop to get water and also find out where they're to
Where
dump.
they can empty it, yeah.
And I know the gentleman that has been street sweeping for the past 12 years does not work any longer
Okay.
there. So, you know, I don't know. Something I'll have to look into tomorrow.
Okay.
But other than that, everything seems to be running along pretty smooth.
Do we get an advantage of doing it in March? Is there an advantage as opposed to, say,
There's
April?
just so much of it, so we're gonna wait till, the end of May, we'll do it again. I mean, there's just so much down there. And then it also helps with us doing the potholes to
Right.
get rid of some of them. I mean, if we wouldn't have gone through such a cold spell, I would have already done a round as it is. But if we do this round now, get what we can picked up, and then come towards the end of the spring season when all the buds and stuff are dropped, and then plus all the extra excess that we make when we do potholes, then there's not so much to get picked up.
You know how much they pulled off the streets, or?
I didn't even know they were there.
That's why I said it, there was a, here's
But
a
I
change
know
over
they would have
personnel.
pulled out quite a bit, because, doing the potholes, we've been trying to sweep up as much as we can along the sides.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I'm sure you'll get to the bottom of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, there's, well, in your packet, dealing with roads here, Kevin did get the information of the county engineer for the chip and seal program, and the county engineer did get back with us with the estimates here. This year it would just be the Tina Lane, Rice Court, and Horniak, and I didn't put the email here, I should have, where this was significantly less than in the past, but we actually had Erie Court included before, and I think we had $32,000 total, and we know Erie Court's just a little small piece. The reason it's significantly less for this quote is because, I asked Kevin, I went to verify it, there's no leveling or base repair required. But the difference is, we didn't have as much time elapse since this was last done. I believe, was it 7 years now that have elapsed, 6 or 7 years? And whereas before, those roads they were in pretty bad shape. So by doing this, you know, we're getting about a third of the cost of what we paid, you know, 6, 7 years ago when this was last done. Let's see, I don't think I included that. I did not put the time this was last done in the resolution. But we have to, our first thing was indicate to the county engineer that we would participate with them in the program. Again, this saves everybody money since they'll bid everything out at once. And the county engineer requires this back by April 2nd. So we're well ahead of that. But I just want to make the motion that Amherst Township will participate in Lorraine County Engineers' countywide bid for the 2021 chip and seal road resurfacing. The following 3 roads shall be included in the bid, and that's Tina Lane, Rice Court, and Horniak Court. This is a little over a mile of roadway, 6,482 feet. It averages out $1.46 per square yard based on the length and width of those particular roads, and they vary from 16 to 18 feet wide. Total cost $9,446.25. Kevin Smart, Amherst Township Road Superintendent, has assigned project management responsibility for the chip and seal road projects in Amherst Township. And as a project manager, Road Superintendent Smart shall be responsible for communicating project updates to all elected officials and the public, shall coordinate schedules and interaction between the various professional services and various contractors that may be awarded project work based upon the bid, shall ensure project documentation is maintained, and shall be authorized to approve any change orders of $1,000 or less, provided the total of all change orders does not exceed the total estimated project construction cost of $9,446.25 by more than 15%. And since it's public bid, I don't really expect this, Kevin, to have any change over what's there, and you know, hopefully the bid comes in less. The Amherst Township chairperson or the trustee assigned responsibility for roads and or the township's road superintendent are authorized to sign any agreements required for the 2021 chip and seal project for road reconstruction, resurfacing, and improvement in order to prevent further road damage caused by poor surface drainage. Section 3, the road superintendent is hereby authorized and directed to begin the base repair, which there isn't any, and pre-leveling work for subject roads, weather permitting, which must be completed prior to chip and seal overlay. Section 4, the Amherst Township Fiscal Officer is directed to appropriate at least $10,391, which is 110% of the engineer's estimate, to pay for the Horniak Street, Rice Court, and Tina Lane road reconstruction, resurfacing, and improvement with the available state grant funds, interest-free loan funds, and per ORC Section 5573.07B2, which include any funds in the township's treasury available therefore. The rest is boilerplate, so that'll be my motion.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I do not have a resolution.
Oh, you don't have one, Chris? Well, let's see.
This one or do you need this?
Yeah, there should have been an extra copy out. Did you get her one?
Hmm?
I'm sorry, when I assembled these, I must have put an extra one in one of the packets. I think Georgianne found it. There was an extra
Kevin needs
packet
one.
here too. Oh, Kevin needs one?
Yeah, he
No,
gave me his.
No, I had 2.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Well,
was
there,
the
now we
extra one.
found out where the extra one went.
Lynch,
Yes.
Hearing,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
And the number on that,
That is
Chris?
3-4.
3-4. And just so people are aware where things are going, Kevin, at the next meeting, if I have time to get it, and if I get the right information, we will have a resolution authorizing the bid Dewey Road. But I've still got to put together a legal notice information on that, make sure we're all set to go. Again, this is just the authorization to bid, and we'll have to set a bid date for that. Most likely, we'll make it that second meeting in April. I can look up the date if you need it, but basically the fourth Tuesday at the soonest. But we might have to give more time. But I want to talk with the county engineer and see who else is bidding projects at this time. But I'll get that put together so that we at least know what our costs are going to be and can get that ready to go once OPWC gives us the notice to proceed. Okay, we're going to move on to 4. All right, and I neglected to mention, Linda's not here this evening, but we knew that ahead of time, so there's no report for the senior services and the county administrator. She just also reemphasized, set a bid opening date for South Dewey. All right, we'll move on to the Phase 2 for stormwater. You do have in your packet is a authorization of application for financial assistance from Lorraine County Stormwater District for the Engel Ditch Restoration Phase 4 and flooding abatement. I know we had talked at the last meeting about having a work session with Pete Sawick from the county engineer's office. I did speak with Pete. I don't think I got back with you guys with any correspondence on that, but Pete is up to his eyeballs in work, and so he begged off on getting together in a meeting, and he said he wouldn't be able to provide a detailed estimate, but he did work with Don Romankak, who is the head for the Stormwater District now, and said just fill out our application with a total project cost of $80,000 to finish off the Engel ditch. And he says include he said approximately the same amount of participation that the townships included in the past, and submit at least 2 grant applications. This time, and I assume there's something changing, he said also send an application to him. I know it keeps changing who I send them to. So what we're going to do tonight, Kevin, I was trying to get you earlier, is once the trustees, I assume, are going to pass this, is I'll need your signature on this grant application, and then Chris will give us a certified copy, and I want to get a scanned copy, and I'm hoping they will just take it as an email attachment, and the one that Chris has colored, the colored photos in it, and also the notes. There's some notes on there that Pete had given me specifically on this project. One thing is we've all been waiting for the bid package for the Phase 3, which we don't have yet, and I know Denny's heading that up. Similar to when we did the Bat House Reach, and that might have been Phase 1 Part B, is Pete wants to do both of these at the same time. Again, just thinking that they'll get the cost down with, the economies of scales and, having a larger project and only one time, hopefully, in mobilization of equipment. So we don't have to be bugging him about, getting the bid package for Phase 3. He's going to put this all together as one. Hopefully it gets approved. I'm expecting this being a phase project, that it's going to get approved, and I put notes in there about the fact that, we just got this one estimate, and I copied it in, what he wrote on for me. I mean, this is a real rough estimate. Normally he gives details, but he just said he wouldn't have time to do that for this project. So, in any case, I'm not going to read through. There's a whole bunch of whereases. This resolution is the Amherst Township Road Superintendent Kevin Smarsh and the trustee responsible for stormwater management, Neil Lynch, are authorized to request financial assistance from Lorraine County Stormwater District for the Engel Ditch Restoration Phase 4 project at a total project estimate of $80,000, with the estimated grant funding of at least $68,000, and the balance being provided by Amherst Township in the form of cash and in-kind labor, equipment, and materials. The Amherst Township chairperson, trustee assigned responsibility for stormwater management, or the township road superintendent is authorized to sign the attached application for Lorraine County Stormwater District financial assistance documentation and any other documentation required by the Lorraine County Stormwater District. Probably should have put the other trustees in there too, just in case someone's not available, but I think you should always be available. They'll be able to get one, one or the other. I only mentioned Denny because we've usually had Denny actually running the project. This is just applying for it.
I will second that motion.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, Chris?
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Urick,
Yes.
And that number, Chris?
3-5.
What is it?
3-5.
And not knowing what's going to happen with the MOUs on this, you'll see I put a placeholder in here on the agenda as if it'll happen in June. And I didn't copy the email I had sent to Jessica Hozlowski with Lorraine County Stormwater District, but you guys would have seen that, is usually the Lorraine County Stormwater District has an annual meeting in February. Well, obviously they didn't have that this year because of the COVID, the coronavirus. And at the Lorraine County Township Association, the previous Thursday, I had recommended that they hold the annual meeting concurrent with the Lorraine County Township Association meeting. One will be more efficient because we're going to an awful lot of meetings. The other thing is that district, every township is part of the district in the county, and as of today, we only have the village of South Amherst and the city of Oberlin as part of it. I've heard Rochester Village may be joining. And the cities are slightly different because the district is more just facilitating them in the collection of the revenue. There's a portion administrative costs taken out from the auditor collecting that, but those funds go directly back to those communities, whereas the townships are only getting a percentage of the collection from the county. But we could certainly invite any municipality that's part of the district and just come on a Thursday meeting versus setting up another meeting. And generally, New Russia Township's been allowing us to use their hall at no charge, which gives you plenty of space, to spread out. But I don't know what the Stormwater District's going to do. That was the suggestion. And also as part of that is that's the meeting where they announce if they're going to have the mini grant. And they've been silent on that, so Kevin, you saw the email. I think I sent email to everyone, but if not, at least you got it, that asked Jessica, is there going to be a mini grant? She said, yes, there is, and they're working on sending the notice out. I'm going to assume they're not going to change anything, but you don't know, but I'd like to get that done. Kevin's already agreed. He's going to start working on some estimates. Linda doesn't know yet, but when she gets back, I'm hoping I sent her the grants that I've done in the past, and hopefully she can just reword that. And if she starts now, if we take the risk that they don't change anything, there's just some dates she can change in, and when we get the final version, we just compare it. And I know at the last meeting, Denny and I were both there, and they handed you the copies. They had one for each community. Heck, before we left that meeting, we were already comparing word for word to make sure nothing had changed. And if you recall, our very next meeting, we approved that grant application and sent it in. So we'll do the same thing. We'll get it ready. We'll pass a motion ahead of time, and if you get the estimate soon enough, and Linda, I'll work with her on the grant application, I'll have the resolution ready for the next meeting. Okay?
I'm hoping to have an estimate tomorrow. I thought I might have had it today, but it didn't happen.
Oh, then you're way ahead of the game.
Yeah, I even have a scratch one filled out, and then I can take that to Linda, we can.
Okay.
But I got all the information already down.
Okay, good. And I forgot to check on this, Kevin, and something in the back of my mind tells me Remember the drainage also at Broadway and Taylor with a tile coming out? Did you already do that?
No.
You were just jetting it, okay. We've always got to keep that in mind eventually for one of our projects. Either one, we may want to get an estimate, because I know there was discussion about replacing that tile, but just until then, we'll just keep jetting it to make sure that that doesn't back up on the homeowners over there. You know, I realize we're protecting the street too, but we know what happens, you know, when that water backs up. Okay, we'll move on to complaints, and fortunately, most of the complaints have been taken care of. We know the first one is still on hold and not much that can be done with. Most likely that's going to happen more if development happens down there and working with ODOT to try and correct that. The second one, Remy, this is on the, I don't know if we ever heard a final version. This was that stop work order on the fence, and I thought that was all going to be worked out. Now we've had a changeover in the prosecutor's office. I've done no follow-up on that, but
I didn't hear anything at all. I understand he just finished up the fence and just,
well, that was pretty much the agreement between the attorneys, just with the understanding that, you know, if the township ever has to come in and do work and take that fence down, since it's in the right-of-way, we're not going to use taxpayer dollars to put up.
right.
I just don't ever remember receiving the final notification back in the
I got nothing in
correspondence
writing.
between the attorneys.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you and I can get together and decide, you know, I might want to leave it up to you to just call the prosecutor's office. You may start with Tom Mang and let him know Jerry was handling this. They should have the file. If you
There
give
you go.
this address, I'm sure they can look it up in their filing system. There's got to be something there that finalized this, but I know in the discussion with the prosecutor's office, you know, the township had no objection to that, and if, you know, the property owner probably agreed. It's just, I don't think we received the final document
Okay.
indicating that. Okay, and then, I don't know if you want to address this other one. We got a complaint. I know typically we don't respond too much to unsigned complaints, anonymous complaints, but Remy's going to take a look at this one. I don't know if you want to address this or not, Remy.
Well, actually, I'm going to take a ride over there tomorrow and just kind of feel it out and see what's going on, see if I can't talk to the gentleman. So I think I'll hold off until I find out a little more about it.
Okay.
Which
And
property is that?
it's right, you've got a document here.
On Bechtel?
Yes, it's
Oh,
on
okay.
Beckel. It's in your packet, David. You don't
I-
have copies of the
No,
pictures.
I've
There's
got
only
it.
one set, and Remy's got those, but he wants to double check this thing first. Okay. All right, you've got no other complaints?
No other complaints, that's
Okay,
it.
so other than the complaints about the road department and the fertilizing yards and,
I didn't hear about that one.
oh, you'll have to see, that's on social media, but
Okay.
it's, at least somebody had the wherewithal to ask, is this an April Fool's joke? It wasn't, they were serious. But, we'll move on then for the items under unfinished business. For those that have specific responsibility, is there anything that needs to be brought up there? David?
I have nothing right now.
I have nothing.
Okay.
Solid waste is rather quiet, so.
Okay, well then the only one, let's see, I've got would be the NOPEC grant. And that's when Linda gets back, we'll work on that. But Kevin, I think you probably got down the estimates you needed for the LED conversion. And when we get those, it'll just be getting that to them, which I'm sure they're going to approve. That should be hands down, not an issue. But for the other trustees to be aware, is NOPEC made a change in the community event grant. And if you recall, we received one last year. These are small grants. We're not talking a lot of money here. Ours was for the dumpster day, which met the conditions. It has to be open, free to everybody in our community. And we had canceled that because of the coronavirus, and they told us that's still our money. We could hold it in escrow for next year. So we've got that. But then for we're applying for a second one, expecting we would get both of them in 2021. And typically, we'd have the funds come to the township, and then we pay for the contractors that come in. And we had talked about expanding it to also include the grinding, since we'll have two of them in a single year. Well, Linda found out that they changed it, which either I missed it or there's nothing in writing here. Before, it was always an option. You could have the check paid to a third party, or you received the funds and paid them out. Well, this, for the new application, they're saying it has to be paid to a third party. And so now I've asked Linda to see if we can just change it, just the grinding, saying we've got the yard waste recycling center open to everybody, but it's not a specific date event. We can certainly call it one of our dumpster day events because people bring it up, but we have it open throughout the year, and see if we can use it for the grinding. And if we have to do this, Chris, I know this is going to be more complicated. We're going to have to get the estimate in, but there'll be a check coming from NOPEC for part of it, and then the township paying the balance. It seems like a lot of confusion for a small amount of funding, but if those are their new rules, we may have to go that route. And Linda will be checking on that, because I sent her an email saying, well, let's just look if we can handle the yard waste grinding that way, since that'll just be one specific contractor coming in. You know, because the others, the costs aren't that high unless we hire somebody out like we did during the coronavirus to do it. So we'll see. I just wanted you to be aware of that. But when Kevin has that finalized, if you work with Linda, and as long as we get, you know, I'd like to make sure that the trustees get a final copy of whatever's there, is I expect they're going to approve the one with the LED conversion hands down. And so the trustees, I think we discussed this before, we're going to, the township hall is what we'll do first, but we're not doing the whole thing. It's going to be split up in phases because of the cost. And I am assuming you're going to do the garage first, which probably has the most energy usage.
Yeah, that's underway. They
Okay,
okayed
good.
that.
Oh, they approved it already? Good. Okay, good deal. Okay, is there any other business?
No, I do not have any other.
Okay, well then, we do have a need for an executive session. Kevin, there won't be any need for you at the executive session at this time. I will need Remy. So I'll leave it up to you. You can stay if you want, or you'll be free to go. But this executive session will be per ORC section 121.22G, concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action. And there's actually two different items here I mentioned earlier. The one is on a property maintenance issue, and Remy will bring us up to date on the depositions and where this stands on that particular issue. The other one, I'll just be bringing you guys up to date on the settlement of the case for the sandstone development, where that stands. The second item, though, will be per G8, regarding negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting the request for economic development assistance. And this is going to be, and again, it's related to the sandstone development, but this is in regards to the Joint Economic Development District options, and also the tax incremental financing options. This, Kevin, will have some impact on roads, but it's nothing where you need to be at the executive session for. I discussed this during the public hearing, that the trustees would then consider if this tax incremental financing, if the county's going in that direction for the road, we want to work with the county as far as, will they take responsibility for this road? So that's where it could impact you as far as what that is. But there's no need to be here at this time on that, because the trustees have some other decisions to make before we even approach that discussion. Okay, but that'll be my motion.
I'll second it.
Lynch,
Yes?
Abraham,
Yes.
Hearing.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we return from executive session to the regular session at 9:00 PM.
I'll second it.
Lynch,
Yes?
Abraham,
Yes.
Euring.
Yes.
Okay, is there any other new business?
No, I have
Nothing
none.
right now.
All right, our next regular meeting will be on Tuesday, March 23rd. At this point, I don't see any need for a work session coming up, but I'll certainly let you know if we need one. And then Chris, just tonight, before we leave, if we can get that stormwater grant all scanned in.
We don't have anything yet with Pete Sawick.
No, that's where Pete indicated there was no need for a meeting, David, and the grant we just approved was the main focus for the meeting, and bid specs will be combined between both, assuming we get approved. So we'll just have to wait on that until the Stormwater District has their meeting. Okay, well, with no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Abraham,
Yes.
Euring.
Yes.
Yes.